this talk already at Concord 2. I think we pretty much talked this out, didn't we, last night?
I thought you were saying I was going to talk about Concord 2 for a second there, like, panic!
That was a karaoke bar last night anyway. So Alice's talk is Jack of all trades or master of none, the KPIs SEO should work to. So we had a fascinating talk about this last night. Alice creates SEO strategies for B2C and B2B clients and is currently leading on website migrations at the agency Roast. She launched her career client-side in a 360 comms role before gaining 2 years as an SEO generalist agency side. This all helped grow that bigger picture thinking part of her brain, which she applies to her current role at Roast. Alice is arguing that less is more when it comes to key performance indicators and driving your wider digital marketing strategy forward. So please give Alice a big round of applause. Thank you.
I'm so happy to see so many people here on a Friday afternoon. I convinced myself that not many people would come because it's Friday afternoon, and maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but anyway, great commitment, I love to see it. So I'm Alice and I work at Roast Agency. You might have seen a couple of my colleagues who have also spoken at this event. Shout out to those guys. As Simon said, I'm going to be talking to you today about the KPIs that we should work towards as SEOs. The aim of this talk is to reflect on what we do as SEOs and what our goals are and what tools we have available to us to measure our success, or lack thereof, but hopefully not. I'm going to be arguing, as Simon mentioned, that less is definitely more when it comes to KPIs. It can be really simple, and having too many and being held accountable for too many KPIs is actually a hindrance. It's not conducive to success, it just needs a loss of focus, and it's not helpful. It's not necessary, we don't want that to be the case, and it shouldn't be the case. So, some introduction content here, thinking about the field that we're in and what marketing is. In the 70s and 80s, I wasn't alive then, so forgive me if this isn't totally accurate, but it was predominantly print, broadcasting, a bit of phone. There wasn't really anything digital about it. I've picked a few of my favourite adverts that I found when I did a search for this. There could have also been some networking, hence the retro corporate drinks picture on the right there. But it was very much advertising, all billboards. There was no kind of inbound marketing, which is what attracted me to SEO personally. I think there was another one. Oh no. Then if we fast forward to the 90s, a crucial time was 1989 when Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. Essential for us as SEOs because he created that space where search engines could come into being. So a couple of examples of the first everyday search engines that existed is Yahoo and Web Crawler. There are loads of others, I know. Then later on in the 90s, social media platforms came onto the scene. Two of the first ones of these were 6 Degrees and Usenet. There were, again, lots more. But that's when we really saw marketing become digital. Most of the people sat here today will be working in the digital marketing field. If we think about digital marketing now then, it has evolved and grown quite rapidly in fairly recent years. These are just some of the specialist roles that people can work as a full-time employee within the digital marketing space. Apologies if I've missed any. I think I will have got all of the main ones. There's actually 14 here, and these are all roles that you could get a job today, and that would be your area of focus as a specialist. So there's a lot here. Hands up if you think each one of those roles would be working towards an identical set of key performance indicators. Yay, no one's got their hands up. That's what I think too. In terms of the core focus of this talk then, I will be outlining 3 types of KPIs. The first one being your primary performance indicators, aka KPIs. Secondly, what I have named your segue performance indicators, or PIs. We'll go with PIs, it's easier for me to say and I won't get tongue-tied. And thirdly, your extracurricular performance indicators. Why do KPIs matter? It's quite a dry subject in terms of SEO. It's something that we don't want to be bogged down with and talking about lots. We'd much rather be doing SEO and finding out how we can achieve results for our clients. But it's really, really important. It's so important to establish the performance indicators that you're working towards, whether that's in-house, so what you're going to be showing your bosses, or if you're agency side, how you're going to report into your clients. It's so important. It saves so much aggro and hassle later down the line when you're trying to prove yourself, show the impact that you're making. So it is really important for building trusting relationships and long-term relationships. Taking a step back then, what is a key performance indicator? If you had to explain this to someone who didn't know what any of those 3 words mean, how would you do it? Well, key, you could say main, fundamental, core, or primary. Indicator would be something that shows something to be the case, demonstrates something to be the case. Performance is a bit more tricky, so I googled it. That definition is that performance is the action or process of performing a task or function. So then, we can define key performance indicator as something that demonstrates that you are delivering your fundamental function as an SEO. So that's what we want to get out of our KPIs. Next question, what is our function as SEOs? This is really hard, and as I've done with a lot of this talk, I am simplifying something that is a lot more complicated than the simple definitions that I'm providing. So bear with me. There are lots of definitions for SEO if you Google it. They're all totally appropriate and accurate. They're all pretty similar. But I've had to think about this and tried to do it in just 1 sentence instead of 2 or 3 sentences, which are most of the definitions that you get when you Google it. For me, SEO is the process of helping people who are looking for your product or services to find them via a search engine. So it's all about visibility. It's all, as I mentioned earlier, what attracted me to SEO was the fact that it's a type of inbound marketing, so people are already looking for what you can potentially give them. It's not disruptive marketing, it's not putting an advert in front of them when they might not be open to that idea, they might not need your product or services. I'm really open to feedback on this definition. As I say, it's really difficult to sum up this whole field in 1 sentence, so do let me know what you think of this definition. If you have any additions you make or any tweaks you make, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so how do we go about achieving that? We wave our SEO wands, obviously. Yeah, SEO wands don't exist. I wish that they did. There's also not a set of 3 golden rules that we can follow as SEOs to make a website visible for relevant keywords. There's not even 5 golden rules. It is more complicated than that. Hence, we will keep saying it depends until we die. Because it does depend. There are so many factors at play, there's so many contextual factors. Get your data from search metrics to find out what those are. It's not as simple as that. Jokes aside, again, trying to simplify something that is a lot more complicated. In a nutshell, what we do is we increase a website's visibility for relevant target keywords via various website optimizations. Suitably vague still, I know, but you can pull out a KPI from that. So, we wave our SEO wand after doing our keyword research and identifying relevant keywords to us, and we've optimized our website for relevant target keywords. As a result, we become visible for those relevant keywords in search engine results pages. There's your first type of metric, which I believe are a type of key performance indicators for us as SEOs. We should absolutely be held accountable for our visibility metrics. So this can be ranking positions for individual keywords, how many SERP features you have that qualify for in search. There are lots of different ways that you can display this to your clients or your managers. Ranking distribution is a nice one for showing the health of your keyword profile. Weighted average rank is really good as well. The weighted aspect of this being really key because it takes into consideration the volume of those keywords. Average, any kind of average can be potentially misleading, especially when you're reporting it to clients. So the weighted part is really important there. And that's a conversation for another talk, probably. Back to this flowchart then. So we're visible for relevant keywords in search engine result pages. If we've targeted keywords that are relevant to our business and we are valid providers of that, whatever it is, product or service, and people are looking for that product or service, there's search volume behind those keywords, we should get organic traffic off the back of that. So we should see an increase in organic traffic. There's your second type of key performance indicator, your traffic metrics. Again, we should absolutely be looking at this and focused on this. Two of the favourite metrics I use are clicks from Google Search Console, organic sessions from Google Analytics is also really helpful. Going back to the flowchart, as long as we have done our keyword research well and we've spoken to the business owners, we know the product offering, we know the target audience, we should see an increase in the volume of conversions from organic as well. So I would argue that an uplift in organic conversions is also a key performance indicator. But the important thing here is that these are all just opportunities for a conversion. We as SEOs should be held accountable for generating qualified leads for our clients. But we can't guarantee conversions. No one can really, but we definitely can't. That's not our area of specialism. If you go back to the list of all the different roles that we have within digital marketing at the beginning, as an SEO, I'm not a specialist in converting users. In any case, from these metrics alone, so our visibility metrics and our organic traffic metrics, and seeing an uplift in the volume of conversions from organic traffic, you can do a lot with that. That's not many KPIs, but it's very specialist, it's very focused. It enables us to look into lots of different things as SEOs to find out what we need to do to achieve those KPIs. We can be reactive, apply context and troubleshoot just off the back of that data alone. For example, if you saw a significant drop in your organic traffic week on week or month on month, you can then drill down into your ranking position data and see if there's been any significant changes there. If you've dropped off for a specific group of keywords, you can have an investigation into why that might be, diagnose any fixes that you can make to alleviate those changes, and then get your organic traffic back up. If there haven't been any significant changes in your ranking positions, then maybe you need to look elsewhere. Maybe you need to change it to year-on-year comparison. Is seasonality at play? Is there just no demand for that product anymore? Have Germany gone off fireplaces? Are they not interested in it anymore? Has search volume dropped off a cliff? There's a lot that you can do with just that alone. Next up then is our, what I call segue performance indicators. So what are these? These are potentially more short-term KPIs, which is useful, and they're very project specific. So these are all things that we might look at an individual project basis in order, still working towards our primary performance indicators. So this is what we need to do to achieve those. Core Web Vitals, we've all been really busy with that over the last couple of years. Simply page speed scores, the number of crawl errors you have, mobile usability. There's backlink metrics that you might be looking at if you're working on any link building campaigns. And volume of keyword ranking, so simply how authoritative you are within the space and how many potentially long-tail queries or just related queries to your area of expertise that you're ranking for. So on the right-hand side here is the specialist SEO team that would lead on those. So the first four would sit with your technical SEOs, the two backlink metrics that I've mentioned would sit with your link building specialists, and then how fast you're or how broad you're expanding your audience to would sit with your content specialists. So I'm going to tell a story now. Yes, I am telling a story and I am wearing dungarees and a stripy top, but it's not CBeebies, it is BrightonSEO, I promise. This is a story about a digital marketer who saw a role advertised for a really exciting company. Exciting in that they were a household name in what they did. It's a really cool company. It was also a role that they'd never advertised for before. They applied and they got the role. Super exciting, they were really happy. They joined and it was brilliant for a week or two. But as the weeks progressed, they found themselves getting involved in more and more projects, juggling more and more balls, and they had their hands in loads and loads of pies, and they didn't necessarily feel confident leading on all of those subject areas. They were spread quite thin. And what they were finding is that the impact that they were having on all of those individual projects was quite underwhelming and not very significant. And they were having a really hard time proving to the person they had to report to that the work they were doing was worthwhile. As a result, their confidence was taking a hit. They were really questioning whether they should be in that role. Their motivation was also quite low because they weren't seeing significant trends, significant results. They weren't happy, they were getting stressed about their job security. Wasn't a good time. Sadly, the end of the story is really sad, and they did end up losing their job. And it wasn't just them that came off badly from that story. The company had to rehire and go through the whole hiring process again. So no one came off well. What's happening here? I think this is what has happened to a lot of digital marketers, which is that we're put in the box of digital marketing and expected to wear loads of different hats, when actually there are so many different areas of specialism within digital marketing, and they all aim towards similar ultimate goals, but they all have different areas of focus, different areas of expertise, different things that they can offer and that they can really have an impact on. Collectively, if we collaborate with those teams, we can do amazing things, but when we're expected to do all of them, it's not a recipe for success. Which leads me on to our extracurricular performance indicators. So these are things like your engagement metrics and your revenue metrics. Two examples of revenue metrics would be your conversion rates, your average order value, engagement-wise, time on page, bounce rate. As SEOs, we might be able to have a small impact on those metrics, and we might be able to make educated guesses on how to improve them, but that's not our area of expertise, it's not our specialism, it's not in our job title. We can have an impact on them if we collaborate with the CRO team and the business team. Similarly, the user experience team. Now, arguably, things like user experience are becoming more and more important for us as segue KPIs to achieve our visibility metrics as algorithms incorporate page experience more and more. But my point is that we should still stay focused on the visibility metrics. Anything that we use as our segue KPIs in between is fine, but the end goal of being visible for those terms still remains the same. So the key takeaway, I hope, from this talk is to know your specialism and get credited for it. Lead with your key performance indicators, and whatever you bring in as your extracurricular performance indicators and your segue performance indicators will depend on the industry, the website, what's happening, the search engines at the time. But don't get pulled onto too many of the other performance indicators, because a loss of focus, more time spent reporting on loads of different KPIs isn't going to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Thank you very much for listening. I will upload this deck to SlideShare. If you have any questions or wanted to talk to me at all, please do get in touch. We are always growing as a team at Roast, and we are always looking for lovely people who are talented and into SEO. So if you are looking for a job, do come and say hello to me and my team, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.